Hello, everyone. It's great honor and pleasure for me personal and for University of Arts in Belgrade to given the opportunity to participate in the work of the World Conference of Science and Arts for Sustainability, which is being held in Belgrade. I'm Irena Nikolić, Rector of the University of Arts in Belgrade and also Professor of the Faculty of Drama Arts. And before I introduce the panelists, I would like to say that for more than a decade, the sustainability has been one of the key concepts of the connect almost all area of research, science and art. Also, more than 10 years ago, 2040, University of Arts organized the international conference, Culture and Media for Sustainability, which was first time that sustainability was discussed in our society, which focus in this field. I am free to say that this conference showed that the arts contribute to the sustainability by raising awareness, inspiring action, and modeling sustainable practices. It provides a powerful, emotional, and accessible way to communicate complex environmental issues and encourage the transition to more sustainable society. Art is a power. Art can turn complex scientific data into something that is emotionally resonant and is easy to understand. A powerful pictures of the deforested landscape or an installation made of ocean plastics can have a bigger impact than a report of the statistic, full of the statistic. These visual and emotional connections helps people care about issues like climate changes, biodiversity, and pollution. Art can also highlight the beauty of the nature world, encouraging a sense of gratitude and a desire to protect it. This is why we are firmly convinced that the presentation we have heard and will hear from panelists working in various scientific and artistic disciplines have stimulated a broader public debate and enabled science and arts to make a concrete contribution to sustainable development from the local to the global level. Now, we return to topics of panel contribution of arts to sustainability, and with a great pleasure, I would like to introduce the distinguished participants of this conference, or this panel. They're Professor Vera Milanković, Faculty of Music, University of Arts in Belgrade, also Professor Irena Živković, Faculty of Applied Arts, University of Arts in Belgrade, Clarke, co-founder Azimut Company, Brussels, Belgium, and Professor Aleksander Zidanšek from Jožef Stefan Institute and also Faculty of Natural Science and Mathematics, University of Maribor, Slovenia. Now I defend by the program this great pleasure, and I will give the floor to Professor Milanković, who will present her work on the topics "The Song Was Our Salvation."
Thank you. At first, I would like to thank Nebojša Nešković and the organizing committee for giving me the opportunity to address this distinguished audience on a topic so simple and yet so important, something we all take for granted, nevertheless vital both for sustainability and development. At least this was Serbian experience. Almost a century ago, in his book, The Origins and History of Consciousness, Erich Neumann warned about small groups and small nations' culture steadily disintegrating by mass-mindedness, atomization, and conscious internationalization of the individual. Also, he stresses that the original canon of group psychology and group determining has been relativized and profoundly disturbed. It reached its peak in spring 2020, when we all surrendered to abnormal life, living through a mediator, the computer. Outings to the theater, exhibitions, concerts have been tucked in the frame of a monitor. Regardless of its size, it is but a frame which limits vision, abolishes directness and the exchange of impact, while the emotional charge is brought down to a minimum. After 2020, it required some effort to get back to normal life 2 years later. An outing to a concert has for some time been gliding towards alienation, where audio-video appliances, straighting solitude, racing one another, which would bring more fidelity and perfection to the listener's home. The listener, becoming a technology consumer, can happily choose the virtual role and seat in a most prestigious world concert hall without leaving his or her living room. Analog technology, which recorded all that the imperfect human ear could hear in a given space, has been rejected. It has been replaced by digital technology. On one hand, it offers clear recordings cleansed of undesirable noise, such as hall, instrument mechanisms, and so on. On the other hand, it broadens the frequency range, which would otherwise fade out within square distance. The fact that natural sound balance is also established by natural materials within the hall has also been disregarded. Audiovisual informations compressed to MP3 or MP4 format confirms that morbid English saying where with the dirty water they drew out the child as well. We live in the world of visual information. Although the child hears long before birth, the sense of hearing and touch are being suppressed from the earliest age. Moreover, the sense of hearing is the only connection between life before and after birth. As soon as children develop seeing abilities, all toys direct attention towards recognizing shapes and colors. The child is led to depend on vision, which informs about objects in front, obstacles, walls, etc. Added by the present abnormal actual circumstances, where the visual field is reduced to the computer monitor, or even worse, the mobile phone, a new danger approaches, quarantine myopia. As opposed to sight, we hear the world all round, everything that approaches from all sides and beyond the walls. In short, seeing warns, hearing liberates. Let alone the sense of touch, which, according to Bjerkvold in his book Enlightened Child, has almost totally been neglected, although the children are born with the ability to, as it were, hear with their fingers. There is an analog understanding between ear and hand. We should not be surprised by peace, composure, and trust in the behavior of blind people in comparison to nervousness and suspicion of the deaf. Victor Zuckernagendl, in his book Sound and Simple, says that in reality, the blind person does not react as a prisoner someone spied upon being on guard. That is how a deaf person behaves, because his most important sense connecting him with the outside world has failed. Degrading the sense of hearing leads to singing which has been drowned by visual effects, diverting attention from its actual impacts. Susan Hallam and Evangelos Chimonidis, in their book The Power of Music, prove that singing reduces stress, improves immunity, especially in group singing. Singing and other participatory musical activities can bring about positive changes in cortisol level. Now, fancy all this drowned by visualization. What a pity. Now to my main topic. For centuries of isolation due to the occupation of Balkans, singing had the indispensable role in Serbian survival, from epic singing accompanied by gusle, national instrument, folk songs and church chanting, to national awareness through choir singing in Serbian Orthodox church singing societies in the 19th century. Moreover, these societies reinforced rapid cultural development, so that Serbia, after establishing its independence, caught up with Europe in less than 50 years. Namely, epic singing, chanting, sustainability led to choir singing development. You will have to have the opportunity to hear a child choir this evening, namely the choir at the Ethnological Museum belongs to the oldest Serbian Orthodox Church singing society from Pančevo. Now, to get back to the topic. Choir singing continued in the 20th century through cultural and artistic societies, so that the longest Serbian tradition of musicianship has been song singing, choir singing for the last 2 centuries. It had a strong national impact, let alone other positive social and well-being effects. The present market economy does not recognize non-material goods which can't be sold or purchased. Many Serbian choirs, particularly those connected to cultural and artistic societies, composed mainly of young people student age, have been submerged by privatization, deprived of space for rehearsals and practice. The number of choir encounters, festivals, and competitions have been drastically cut down. Future parents rarely sing to their children. They lost the habit of singing, and except for church choirs, it takes too much effort to find an organized choir. Recent pop music, which parents might sing along to their children, emphasizes rhythm, with sometimes seducing harmonies and arrangements, but poor in melody, which is often reduced to a few notes, as opposed to wide-range evergreen tunes which reveal the whole harmonic structure, context, even without accompaniment. With a few exceptions, if sung unaccompanied, today's melodies sound uninteresting, repetitive, monotonous. As a child, children rarely hear or participate in family singing. Parents are unaware that in long-lived societies such as Serbian, children traditionally grow up surrounded by songs and singing, thus becoming members of the community. Expression of identity is connected with young people's lifestyle, language, personality development, and the music they listen to. Songs arouse collective experience, that's our historic experience. Our task is to open the parents' ears, especially mothers, and explain that. The mother and the family provide a natural surrounding for children to start speaking and singing. Bjerkvall, also, I mentioned him earlier, finds that spontaneous infant song is child's musical mother tongue, both literary and broadly speaking. Mother's singing should, as a rule, take part in child's life before birth. It has been proved that music a child listens to before birth, later in life, in times of stress, has the effect of a mild sedative. After birth, imitating mother's singing, the infant continues its arrival to music. There is a considerable evidence that mother-infant singing leads to increased perceived emotional closeness and strengthening of the mother-infant bond. Songs and singing represent the first and immediate natural mode of emotional expression, leading also to music understanding. Broadcasting music one way from mechanical loudspeakers leaves a poor impression in comparison to the vicinity and warmth of another human being. Songs and singing represent the first and immediate natural mode of musicianship, which leads towards arrival into music. Only from the context of a book by Shepard, Music Makes Your Child Smarter. Anyway, only from the context of this book, we find out that active music making affects the brain, better linguistic abilities, encourages movement, develops the ability of physical coordination and its control, helps in remembering and retaining knowledge, understanding mathematics and science generally, teaches highly elaborated social skills, helps in teamwork, and not the least, helps to improve mental function, especially by playing an instrument. Conscious learning of a new song is possible when supported by experience of previously unconsciously remembered melodies. Each new knowledge is everlasting when backed by appropriate inner resonance in experience. Otherwise, it comes down to an empty fact which does not stay in memory. When talking about obtaining new knowledge, Eric Neumann finds that characteristics of the differentiation process in childhood is loss and withdrawal from some facts of perfection and fullness which child psychology inherits in the measure defined by pleura uroboros. The mutual characteristics of man genius, active artist, and layman, the magic and attractiveness of existence has to be sacrificed. The aim of every education, not only in our culture, is to expel the child from its original genius, and through differentiation and renunciation from fullness, brings it down to old Adam towards collective uselessness. Now, this really sounds very pessimistic. You see, each one of us is born with the experience of ancestors stored in collective memory from the beginning of the world to the present day. Serbian cultural resilience through centuries of isolation is a living proof. Education based on collective memory was the result of upbringing based on evoking that experience. Today, it is jeopardized lest it does not interfere with rational understanding of the world. Education and upbringing based on arousing collective remembrance requires profound attention to every child and holistic approach to phenomena which is being taught. The kind of education and upbringing requires patience and dedication, not speed and shallowness. It is only seemingly slow because it does not offer instant results. At the beginning, it relies on myths and tradition, evokes imagination, links path with the present to ensure future. I'll now speed it up. Music has very strict rules which science cannot completely grasp. They are revealed by those who desire and can approach its substance directly and naturally by singing. Now, I'll just get to the conclusion. Serbian experience of sustainability owing to epic song, chanting, and folk music during several centuries of isolation, followed by rapid 19th century development with regard to Serbian Orthodox singing societies on one hand, and upbringing and education based on arousing collective memory on the other, will, when carefully modeled, also serve as a pathway for the future. And last but not least, let's see what Shakespeare says about music in Merchant of Venice. The man that hath no music in himself, nor is moved with concord of sweet sounds, is fit for treason, stratuments, and spoils. The motions of his spirit are dull as night, and his affections dark as Erebus. Let no such man be trusted. Mark the music. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Milanković, for this inspiring presentation, which is very interesting because it focused to Serbian national culture and national heritage. Now, the second panelist is Professor Irena Živković, professor from the Faculty of Applied Art, and she will present her work with the theme Applied Arts and Material Science.
The folder is empty.
Okay, we are waiting for the guy upstairs. Čekajte samo sekund. Treba da prebacim među vremena. Pa prebacite Irena Živković prezentaciju. Pa jeste prebacio kod sebe, treba ovdje na računar da prebaci. Donao sam ubio.
Možemo da
Možemo da.
Da vam dam, ja? A vi imate
Prebacili ovako, da, ili kako smo na flashu?
Ja sam na mom flashu, ne znam da li imate na vašem.
Sad ćemo sačekati. Ajde, molim vas, flash, izvinite. Izvinite, samo sekund.
Ok, možemo poštati sa flasha, da. Prvo. Evo ga. Prvo.
A, to on radi.
I'm sorry, technical problems. Pustimo direktno sa ovog flasha.
Počeo kolega iz reči ne znam.
Okay, here it is. Okay, hello to everybody. I'm Irena Živković. I'm coming from University of Arts in Belgrade, from the Faculty of Applied Arts. But my background is from the Faculty of Technology and Metallurgy on University of Belgrade. And in Applied Arts, I teach the subjects from field of material science and engineering. And after my completing master thesis, PhD thesis, I have great experience in the field of material science and engineering. But 2008, I had fortunate opportunity to teach, to teach young, talented, and interested students who are beginning their academic development at the Faculty of Applied Arts. It was a great fortune because after 17 years of experience, I have many things to share with you now. As a scientist who has been working these 17 years, I can empirically state that this sentence of Alistair Cromley is my favorite sentence because this circularity that we have in this sentence is very recognizable in my world now. There are numerous examples of this. For example, Da Vinci's work, that is, Da Vinci was a scientist and artist in the same person, or photography discovered, that is at start, that was at start scientific discover, but very soon it became a medium for artistic expression that are very recognizable examples. But also we have examples of polymer materials very employed in contemporary art, and also now very interesting topic at sustainability. And this sustainability is very inspiring at this day. In applied arts, we can found three directions of a sustainable approach. This free approach can be philosophical, materialistic, or experimental. This first one, philosophical, means that art directly influences raising the level of awareness of the population, pointing out the problem created. This is not new. This thing is not new, but science always had this role. And this is one of factors that makes art so important in our lives and in development of our civilization. The second one is materialistic, and this is very, very simple. Okay, you have materials. Materials can be natural material or biodegradable materials, also can be materials that can be recycled after use, and this is materialistic approach. The third one is in situ. at the place we can create materials out from scientific, complicated, very, very, very expensive laboratories, or on the same place that we create our work. And all of these examples we have at the Faculty of Applied Arts. All of this very practical without AI, without completely hands-on work. For the first one, I've started with the first one with philosophical approach. That means that we send message about some problems that the people or society created around us. This is the work of my colleague, professor at the Faculty of Applied Arts, Jasmina Pejčić, and she, in his work, would like points out all the present pollution and the environmental problems that we create. The second one that I choose is Vukčuk, professor from my Department for Conservation and Restoration. He is a young painter, and his work is very, very inspiring, full of criticism, very strong criticism of consumer society. And this work, everything, he has inspiration when he visits Serbian luxury restaurants decorated with plastic plants. Plastic plants, that means that with these plastic plants we have goal to made this ambient very pleasant, but plastic means industrial production, means no natural sensation, and this sensation at the end is completely opposite that the decorators wants to reach. Then the third one from this direction is teamwork that I gave this material from my colleague Miloš Ilić, professor at Faculty of Applied Arts, but behind this work we have a group of students from Serbia, but also from Austria, and they were very demanding work because they prepared some exhibition at the Museum of Applied Arts near the Academy here in the Vuka Karadžić Street. That means that they work as regenerative designers. What does it mean, regenerative designers? That they want to transfer the logic of the nature to design process and thus establish guidelines for regenerative design. This is a message from this exhibition. It's about corals and ocean worlds and this neglected side of ecology parts. The second one is materialistic. Materialistic in all this world. And at first, we can say natural materials. Natural materials, we say natural, biodegradable, on recycling materials, on materials that send the message of sustainability. But the first natural materials that we can choose as a civilization is a stone. Stone. There is nothing non-sustainable in the stone. I show the work of my colleague, Professor Goran Čpajak, and also Dejan Trivunac, Associated Faculty of Applied Arts. And the stone work, especially if it is handmade, is very sustainable, without coating and varnishing, near quarries. That is important, that is near quarries, because we don't have consumption of energy to transport this stone to the planet. Stone is very natural and sustainable material. And I can say that my experience is that many sculptures colonies from the sculptures that work in the stone are very near to the quarries. For example, Pietrasanta in Italy, or Carrara in Italy, we have many colonies of sculptures near here. That is very interesting to visit. Then we have the work of my dear colleague Michael Adjušić, also professor at Faculty of Applied Arts. And after stone, what is very natural is terracotta. This is the work of 4 people. Also in Serbia, we have a great symposium of terracotta in the city of Kikinda. It is very interesting and rich of idea. Also, if you have opportunity, it will be great to visit. And then after sculptures from terracotta, we have something very different. At the glance, something different, but it is almost the same things, but we have in this area a repetition. This is a work of colleague Nikolić, who is industrial designer, and this is one example of lamp from terracotta. A difference in sculptures is very interesting also for industrial designers. But from industrial designers always means as repetition, as constant industrial production. Then we have the work of Professor Ljubica Knežević. She is a ceramic artist. But in this work, she used paper and this ceramic work. Paper from recycling, paper, cellulose fibers from recycling, practically cellulose pulp. And she said me that with this pulp, the ceramic became very suitable for shaping and for preparing the mass for firing. The only thing that is spoiled the sustainable character of ceramic material, because ceramic materials are dominantly natural materials. All that we put in ceramic is natural, but there is one spoil things. That ceramic materials has great energy consumption, and if we would like to obtain ceramic materials without porosity, with good mechanical property, we must use a big temperature at 1250, for example, is a temperature for porcelain. This is a great temperature. The other examples are from materials that take new life from production, take new life from authors, from this work of authors, because they use materials that is lost its useful value. And if we lose useful value, we have the waste. And if we use the waste and with the waste prepare something that have emotion impact on the people, we upcycled. We do something very, very good. And this is one of my favorite exhibition of Professor Zlatko Cvetković, 2014. That means he knitted practically all the music tapes and video tapes to prepare new artistic objects. And this emotional material became emotional material after that. Then a very similar thing with Professor Leonora Vekić, professor from Faculty of Applied Arts. She used elastic bands from industrial production to make this, installation. And then Professor Maja Gecić, she used old wool. This wool is from this project Prabenka. She prepared jewelry, brooches, badges. This is a collection that is named Belgrade Sparrows, but in originally Belgrade Živjans. So this is a dialect from Belgrade. Tamara Panic, my colleague, also from industrial design, that prepared this chair. This chair is named the Creature because all materials that she used were sustainable. Linden wood is used for this ergonomic chair. Irena Sumborac is alumni of Faculty of Applied Arts. She did this play that is named Prehistorical Girl from our very, very known poet Desanka Maksimović. This play is in theater in Zaječar. All these requisites, so these puppets, all materials on the stage was completely natural, and these puppets was prepared from cartapesta. This is traditional technique from the south of Italy. Tamara Markowski, master students. I must say that Irena Sumborac finished his study, graduated with supervisor Professor Ljiljana Petrović. Tamara Markowski is a master work in progress. It isn't finished now, but it's very interesting for sustainability because here we have many interesting materials, recycling materials, new materials, built-in photovoltaics, but also we have furniture that is made from the flakes of coffee. And for the end, for last one example of my artistic work from the Faculty of Applied Arts is the work of Associated Faculty of Applied Arts Arpad Pulai. This is his exhibition, Super Ecology of Man, that was 2020. Now you have an open exhibition of this author near here in a Museum of Applied Arts. And if you have a time, go to visit because I'm sure that you will enjoy. So, developing sustainable approach, we have now with, at the in situ with experimentation, and I have a very exactly mine example that start with two my ex-students, 2022. They were young industrial designers, alumni from the industrial design from Faculty of Applied Arts, and they observed a field of corn after harvesting, and they noticed that there are many materials from the agricultural waste that can be do instead of burned it on the field and made pollution. And they start with me after a few months to work. They consult me some things, and after that we start to create together. And now this is an initial idea. Okay, we then after our cooperation, we made many composite materials with the natural matrices, with different natural matrices, and also participated some fairs of circular economy and eco-friendly materials. And after that, we participate for the some projects and get some budget. And from this budget, we bought this machine that is extruder machine, and prepared these composite materials on the completely eco-friendly manner. Eco-friendly from washing the corn stover after harvesting through all this operation. And this is the first probe. This is the first probe that is transparent to see, and we try to set this parameter of process to see the way that we can prepare in the good manner. And this set was, this material also was represent, and now we have some other projects like Green Up, and then also we put this on biodegradable environment with cooperation with the Institute for Molecular Genetics and Genetical Engineering, and we obtained the completely multi-circular system. That means that our materials can be composted. Also, these materials can be recycled, also can be exposed to hydrolytical bacterial degradation and upcycled to bacterial nanocellulose. And for the end, I show you these photographs that from the SEM analysis micrographs that prove that we have completely biodegradable materials. And now we applied with the Institute for Molecular Genetics and Genetical Engineering from IDEA projects to obtain different materials made by bacteria or made in laboratoria, and how we prepared some workshop at Faculty of Applied Arts if we obtain. But Jasmina Nikolić, that is the principal investigator from Institute for Molecular Genetics and Genetical Engineering told me, say, we will do it without project or with the project.
Thank
you, thank you very much. I didn't have time to say many other examples that were very, very good. Also, there are the professors that work with natural colors, with publishing houses that take very, very strong requirements. And there are the other projects like Prisma projects and Diaspora with the Institute of Physics that are not focused on sustainability, but are also, all of them has a part that can be observed as a sustainability. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Živković. We don't have enough time for all presentation, and thank you for that interdisciplinary presentation and your excellent work. And now we are from music and applied art. We are going to film production, documentary film. Áine Clarke, co-founder of the Azimut company, Brussels. She will take us into the world of film and film production with her presentation, The Power of Visual Storytelling, Co-Creating World of 3.0.
I just press play.
All around the world, there are ideas and innovative solutions. Their mission is to accomplish a world of 3 zeros.
0 carbon emission, 0 wealth concentration, and 0 unemployment. That's the new world we want to create.
C'est notre société, malheureusement, qui est problématique à l'heure actuelle et que tout le monde a envie de changer. Donnons l'opportunité aux gens de changer, donnons l'opportunité aux agriculteurs de changer, aux entreprises ou encore aux citoyens.
Jusqu'où on peut aller pour que même les projets qui ont un impact puissent aller encore un cran plus loin.
I look at the conventional banks, how they do it. Once I figure out how they do it, I just do the opposite.
Ne vous attendez pas à des dividendes de dingue. On n'est pas dans ce concept-là.
Faire l'entrepreneuriat social, c'est permettre à toutes les couches de la communauté de progresser ensemble dans le développement.
For us, entrepreneurship is actually to create something where there was nothing. And athletes do that, you know, all the time.
This change in mindset has to happen for young people at a very young age.
Tous. Comment on va gérer cette belle jeunesse-là? C'est maintenant qu'il faut les dire qu'ils sont capables de faire des choses.
ความฝันของหนูก็เปลี่ยนไปเป็นอีกแบบหนึ่งคืออยากเปิดร้านอาหารเป็นของตัวเอง
So what we need is not just social businesses, it's also citizens picking up and demanding a change so that the economy can change.
Vous savez qui vous êtes, foncez.
Nothing is impossible for a human being. All we have to do, make up our mind.
It was always here when I was a child.
We've just seen the trailer of our documentary. All the time while I'm on stage, the images behind me, or in front of you rather, they're all taken from the film. And so I will not go over my time because the images will stop. I'd like to share a little bit about me just so that we get to know each other. So I come from the world of filmmaking. So about 35 years ago, my husband and I created a production company, and we went straight into making corporate films. I'd like to walk you through the creative process of making a corporate film. So a client like a Volkswagen or somebody that's making products for food, they come to you with a briefing and they say, we would like people to know about our activities, and these are the people that we would like to target. And we as a production company come up with a creative idea, and it's a pitch, it's a competition. And then the client decides who or she wants to work with, and then you get the chance of making the film. From a money point of view, you can just about break even because most corporates use their film for at least 5 to 10 years. After 5 years, we began to move into the world of commercials. Our clients were encouraging us to do some of their commercials. I'd like to walk you through the creative process of making a commercial. So the briefing is very similar. It's a client like Nestle or Coca-Cola or whatever. They have a product they would like to sell, or they would like to be perceived in a way, and they tell you who's their audience that they would like to influence. But they give this briefing to their advertising agency, with whom they have a contract with. The advertising agency works on their strategy, on their print campaigns and social media and all sorts of things. The advertising agency may decide that a TV commercial would be suitable, and then they contact a production company. Again, it's a pitch, it's a competition. So the advertising agency gives you these few lines, which are supposed to be a 30-second commercial. In some cases, they might even give you a couple of little drawings. We pitch to bring those drawings, those lines to life. If you win the pitch, then you get the chance to do the film. Here we're moving into a completely different world. So in our little company, you can be working over a couple of days with maybe more than 100 people, maybe 100 extras, and all sorts of technical support, cameras, food specialists. Absolutely nothing is real. That happy family in that beautiful house with those smiley kids, it's all casting, it's all made up. The food they're eating, it's not real food. And, but from a money point of view, it's a completely different ballgame. You do generate quite generous profits from making commercials. Saying that, you don't know if you're going to have work from 1 week to the next or 1 month to the next. You can make the best commercial ever that wins lots of awards, but it doesn't mean that the advertising agency will ever work with you again. You start every project right back from the beginning. So how did this lead us into 25 years on working with social entrepreneurs and caring about sustainability and trying to do things to correct some of the mistakes that our generation are responsible for? The change happened in 2016. We became aware that what we were doing was actually making people who are already very wealthy even wealthier. And then we accepted that we were actually part of the process. Our work was encouraging children and other people to eat things which actually were not really good for them, to buy things that people didn't really need. And when you come to that realization, what do you do? So we decided to take some action. And you don't go back from there. So we thought, why don't we use the same set of skills that we've been using to tell the stories of companies and sell products, to maybe talk about some of the incredible things that are happening around the world, where people are creating things in the circular economy, they're helping to get people out of poverty, they're looking at problems as solutions, like textile waste, food waste. How about telling the stories of all these businesses? I'd like to take a little drink of water. This path led us to meet a Nobel Peace Laureate. His name is Dr. Yunus. Some people know him as the banker to the poor, and he is responsible for the Grameen Bank. And he's probably one of the most awarded people in the world for helping others. He is behind about 50 different social enterprises, and it all starts with one thing. Somebody has a problem that they care about, whether it's a scientist, Dr. Kim. He cared about bees, the fact that bees are dying all around the world. And then he was thinking, I'm writing lots of really important papers on these bees, but who is getting to know this information? So he decided to go back to school, a business school, and he decided to set up a business. So now all around the world, he's working with bees, and so he's working with bees and businesses. He puts the hives in different areas around the world. The bees go out and they go around the flowers, and they bring in pollen. This pollen is scientifically analyzed, and the scientists are able to see all the pollutions that are being used around the business that he's working with. They have been able to detect products that have been banned since the 1950s. They are able to show that the biodiversity is really low in areas. But what I find really interesting, what these scientists do, is they provide solutions. So they give the company all the solutions of how to solve these problems. And they share them, which I think is amazing. So we started to document these stories. And then, so there were like about 100 different videos. People were using them on the websites, using them at events like this. And then we started to think about, how about something more that we could share with the world? And that's why we came up with the idea of making a documentary. So we had to ask the man himself, dear Dr. Yunus, are you okay that we make a documentary about you? And he said, yes, you can make the documentary, but I don't want to be the hero of your documentary. I want you to make the film about all the other people around the world that are doing amazing work. And so we got the chance to film in Thailand, in Colombia, in Bangladesh, in Africa, in various places around Europe. I'm happy to say that when the documentary was finished, like 5 years later, these things take time, and COVID went by as well, and then there's always the issue of about financing, which all filmmakers struggle with. So we decided when the film was finished, we were happy with it. We decided to put it into film festivals. So we spent a year pitching at film festivals, and I'm very happy to say that it was selected in 46 different film festivals in 25 different countries, and we won 26 Best Documentary Awards. So while I was preparing for today, I did a little bit of research about what other visual examples are out there. And I thought about when I was a little girl, whenever we had the problem of the ozone, and we were told it's what you put in your shopping bag can make a difference. And I always remember my mum saying, no more spray deodorant, which would have served the whole family. We all had our individual deodorant, and that was us doing something for the planet. Because we visualized this huge hole which was opening up, and all these harmless rays would come and damage people. And we felt empowered. We felt that we were part of this making a difference. Another area is in the 1950s, the medical profession was not admired. And what did a group of doctors decide to do? They contacted Hollywood, and they said that they would like people to perceive them in a completely different way. And so people from Hollywood, they made films and series where they put doctors and the medical profession in a hero context. And now today, the medical profession is totally admired all around the world. But fictional films and storytelling and working together helped change the perception that we have of the medical profession. The last example is a very recent film about Formula One. The reason why I want to talk about it is all throughout the film is branding. All the branding paid for the film. They say even Brad Pitt's tattoos have branding on them. What I'm thinking is, what if all these scientists and sustainability experts and people that are wanting to make a difference, what if we were to work with art and filmmaking and other forms to get our message out there, to make it mainstream and desirable? So that's just food for thought. I believe that the experience that we had from making corporate films and adverts, which is a very exciting thing to do, I believe that has set the groundwork for the documentary that we did. However, we will never go back to doing business as usual. What I would also like to share is that we have to accept that we will never make the same profits that we did from commercials. So we've had to learn to live in a much simpler way. And it's a learning process, but I think you have to practice what you preach. However, what I am happy is to see that the art of filmmaking and storytelling does have a role in creating bridges, has a role in making sustainability desirable, and it's a way of showing role models everywhere so that youth and people around can see, look what's happening there, maybe I could do something similar. I would just like to finish with one thing, is that Anne Sneak from the Club of Rome, after watching our documentary, she wrote on LinkedIn, "This film should be shown at the start of the academic year of all business schools, economic faculties, or MBA programs. Stop presenting business as usual as the normal economic practice." She went on to say, "Let's no longer speak about the economy as if there was only one." One final remark is that we would like to share the documentary with the world. We would like every secondary school, no matter where it is, every university, every organisation that is interested, to screen the documentary. We have it in Chinese, Italian, English and French. If anybody is interested in translating it, we can provide you with the file, you could translate it, and then we can give you the copy. So please reach out to me or to any of the organisers, and we will make sure that you get the film that you can share with your children or whoever you think that might find it useful. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Clarke, and I'm free to say that it is a wonderful example of the soft power of the film in all society, and it is impact to sustainable world. Now Professor Aleksander Zidanšek from Jožef Stefan Institute in Ljubljana, and also Faculty of Natural Science and Mathematics, University of Maribor, who will present his work, New Imaging Methods and Innovative Development of Students' Competencies.
Thank you, Rector. Thank you, dear Nebojša, for such wonderful organization. There was such great brainstorming, sharing of ideas, initiatives, and invitations to really make a bigger difference. And of course, congratulations to everybody who stayed until almost the end. It was difficult 3 days, but now, first thing is, you probably wonder, why do I follow all these artists? It was actually courtesy of Jožef Stefan, who was 19th century Slovenian physicist, but also a poet. So it was a combination of art and science already back then. And what we are now trying to figure out is, how do you change this physics and engineering education? If Einstein is doing physics, it looks art. But if an average teacher is doing physics, it's not art, it's probably torturing of children. I mean, it shouldn't be done that way. And one idea is to move from, STEM to STEAM, to add A for art. So this is like very, very popular lately. But, did anybody have a great teacher in high school, primary school, anywhere? Remember any great teacher? So what do you remember them for? What they taught you or how you felt when they were teaching? You see, the second part is actually the important part. So that's why some teachers are great. I can do it like this, yeah. So how we learned, we started with this concept of learning and competencies. European Union is actually doing a lot of it. I'm not going to bore you a lot with that. There is a European system where they kind of bring together all the possible competencies. There are like 13,000 of them, but still most of the relevant are actually missing. A competency has been defined for more than 50 years, the difference between competency and competence. And learning outcome is probably an interesting thing because, the outcome is that you can do some, paint a picture, compose the music. And of course, these key competencies are also very old. They have been designed in almost 20 years ago. And here just an example of how many competencies actually people listed, and they are still expanding this database of competencies, of skills, of occupations, of languages are more or less where they are in Europe 27. But this combination of content and user experience is actually where the art is. Education is actually art if the teacher is good. And it should be better most of the time. These are some examples. Okay, this is an old example, but you see, in addition to those foundational literacies and the competencies, you also need some character qualities, which we need to develop from early age in children, like curiosity, persistence, adaptability, leadership, but also social and cultural awareness, so that there are only 8 billion of us, which means that one would say too many people, but there are not enough talents to do everything that needs to be done to move to a better place, to create better civilization. So we are actually lacking humans. AI they said they would replace humans. Yeah, they can do simple tasks, but then humans are liberated to do more difficult, more complex tasks, and also somebody has to read after them because they don't always do it correctly. And there is such a lack of qualified people to do lots of stuff. And so this is actually a nice diagram which shows you that if you have a job that requires both mathematical skills and social skills, top right, that means that you're going to be in demand, and those jobs are probably going to be in demand, although it's not really a good moment to say this because this AI is kind of going forward so rapidly that what you predict today may be completely different in 1 month or in 1 year. So anyway, but usually if you have both mathematical skills and social skills, you're probably going to do well. And I told you that Jožef Stefan, actually the reason I'm here, so he was a young kid from Slovenian province of Carinthia, and in high school actually he had two great teachers. One was teaching him Slovenian language, and the other was teaching him physics. So that's basically why he became a poet and a physicist. So you see, it's basically the teachers are kind of building the next generation of leaders. So Jožef Stefan, if you're not familiar with him, this is the black body radiation law, which he actually discovered experimentally late 19th century. That was just before quantum physics. It was one of important stepping stones towards the quantum physics. And he was professor in Vienna because he basically put Vienna on the map of physics in the 19th century. And so this is his original paper where he described this discovery of black body radiation law. It's in German. And then, of course, in Slovenia, we built my ancestor, basically, in 1949, the Jožef Stefan Institute, which bears his name, so that it kind of spreads this excellence, the mixture of science and art and also education. We have also like 4 study programs, like different disciplines in engineering, like nano, eco, ICT, bio, sensor technologies, and sciences, where young kids actually learn. So we have about 200 students, about 200 professors. They mix one another. You know, it's not like you enroll in one study program, you learn step by step. Yes, you also have to do that, but the important part is that you work in the lab and you mix with other people. And I don't know, for example, we have like environmental group and an AI group, and people were mixing, and I said, we can do something about food. You know, environmental studies, spectroscopy, you can discover whether this food is from China or Macedonia or Serbia or wherever. And in AI, you can actually help them discover this better. So, and then the next step, how can we make better menus for people? So these are like synergies between different disciplines which create new opportunities. Okay, I will. So this was our first dean, Professor Robert Blins, and I will just skip this and show you just some examples. I promised some examples of imaging methods. What we do are terahertz imaging, which means that, for example, these are like some tablets which have some active ingredients, and you just watch them with different frequencies. Like we look at colors, you know. Humans use like what? Green and blue and red color, but if you have this terahertz, which are a different frequency, you're just using a different frequency, you're going to get a different picture, and it will tell you exactly which part is in the tablet and where they are distributed. So this is like an example for students they can play with. And, but what I was talking about is competence. So our approach is that we evaluate first the students. So before we start, we give them a questionnaire, and then they give answers, correct, wrong, and you know where they are at the beginning. And then after the activity, we do it again, and we know how they improved, or maybe they didn't improve. I mean, sometimes you have a professor who confuses them so much that at the end they know less. But most of the professors are actually excellent, so at the end you can see really noticeable improvement in the educational results, in the educational outcomes. So we designed actually a special app, which is called RESPO. It identifies which competence is the most important for this person. You know, every person has some strength which they can contribute to building this great civilization of tomorrow. And if this person actually develops this competency right, then this person is going to make a great contribution and make the world a better place. So that's why we identified which competencies, what is the gap, what they can learn, and what is the most effective way to learn that. Okay, so these are like some examples of some projects like Ignite, ProX Team, GenUI, Greenlit, where we are actually developing different types of projects. Maybe, okay, I will just give you 2 examples. You have heard about bees a little bit earlier. So now we are just starting a new project which will actually help the beekeepers with artificial intelligence to take better care of the bees. So this will start now next week, October 1, Erasmus project. A very small project, but it will develop some great learning materials, and the beekeepers will actually take better care of the bees. So the other one was Greenlit, was on the green manager for the companies, and Ignite was to do the compassionate development of competencies in STEAM area. But there is one more which I wanted to share, just a few words. You probably heard about it. The World Academy and European Academy, there is a joint initiative of so-called Global Peace Offensive. I know this is a strange term because offensive is usually connected to war, not to peace. But since the other approaches didn't work, we still have war. People tried everything. We said, let's try something different. Our vice president, actually, of World Academy, Donato Kinegar-Pasili, last year came with this term, which originated from Osgood's psychological approach, where he said graduated reciprocation in tension reduction. So that means, example, okay, I don't know. President Sadat was president of Egypt. He was an example of, he did that. Okay, it didn't end well for him, but it ended well for his country. So, you know, sometimes you don't ask what the country can do for you, but what you can do for the country. So that was an example like that. And he did such an approach. He did a little bit relaxation of the tension, and there was a peace agreement. They got Sinai back, no more war between Egypt and Israel. So one man who just used this approach, and you end the war. So basically, that's the idea, that there are too many wars all over the world, and we need to educate young people to really share this and to spread this and to use the approaches like this, also develop this science of Osgood further. This is 50 years old science, but it is actually the science that can contribute to reduction in tensions, which can reduce the violence, both in local communities, but also internationally. There are so many wars. I know some of them stopped, but the others got worse. And it's really imperative that these wars stop. So there is another, okay, I will show at the end just another picture regarding this. So I will just move on to the next point, and I will ask, what should we do? So first, regarding learning, how to move this STEM education towards STEAM education, so add A for art. And of course, one thing is that you can break it down and monitor individual competencies. So which competencies are the best for this person, for this student? You know, everybody has like strong points and weak points. And usually it's important to develop those strong points because they are going to be like the best in what they do, but also the weak points to remove those troubles that are maybe there that could hinder them. And so this is our first step. The second step is then that based on this monitoring of competencies, this education is individualized. So what we actually do, we have like 200, 240 courses. Everybody can select what they need, and they also have different professors so that they put together like a team of experts that are working on students. So it's not that AI is working, AI is helping to select what is best. But then the team of professors is actually developing these students toward the master or doctoral degree. And once the student gets the doctoral degree, then the student is an expert. And this student should actually be the best in the world at what they are doing, because that's the only way they can contribute new knowledge. So this is like the second point. And then the last one is, of course, to bring the best out of everybody. So anyway, just for acknowledgement, many founders that like Slovenian Research Agency and Erasmus European Union. But for the end, I would just like to show two examples of my professors. Professor Robert Blins was my supervisor from early age until the PhD, and he's no longer with us, but he was instrumental in building the Jožef Stefan International Postgraduate School in Ljubljana. And his approach actually originated from his young experience when he went by boat to MIT to postdoc many years ago. It was still traveling by boat, no planes. And when he arrives there, then his supervisor at MIT was Professor John Waugh. And the first thing that he notices is Professor John is doing something, but then the student comes. What does John do? Drops everything, full attention to the student. It's like 100% on the student, solves student's problem, and then goes back to work whatever he was doing. So first thing, full attention to the student. The second thing was that one day a week, some I don't know, rich person with cowboy boots comes into his office, puts the cowboy boots on the table. So what was that? John is actually advising a user from industry. So he says, 6 days we work, one day we advise to do something useful for the society. And of course, those boots on the table were paid extra. So this was the second. And the third thing was that they want to be, do you think, second best or third best or fourth best? No, only the best in the world. So aim for the best, attention to the student, and do something good for the society. That was basically what Professor Blins taught us, and he was our first dean. And then we have another professor, Ivo Schlaus, who is the honorary president of the World Academy, member of Club of Rome, of all sorts of organizations. And he is still very well and alive. We are going to visit him tomorrow. In 2 days, he will be 94. So what he taught us are many valuable lessons, but I think the most important was because he was already at the age of reason during World War II. So he knows that war must stop. There are no if, no but, no complaining or accusing somebody, but just stop. Because the wars are bad, they are destroying everybody. Even the apparent winner is actually not gaining anything. I don't know, if they put some city to ruins, they didn't win the city, they just got some empty stones and destroyed a lot of lives. So that's why I think this was really the most important lesson from our good friend Ivo, that all wars must stop now. And here I am.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Professor Aleksander Zidanšek. And now I must say, I'm free to say that your presentation opened many interesting, and in this presentation we can hear many interesting details about institute, about competencies, and I'm very happy because I'm coming from University of Arts in Belgrade, and in our university and our faculties, student is always in focus. That is our good situation for our students. And now I sincerely thanks to all panelists and for very interesting presentation, and also must say that I really don't know how and from what point I will start with the question, because you open your presentation open so many questions in very difficult area of art, science, and research. And I suggest to have only one question for all panelists. Maybe it's good, maybe it's not good. How we will start with the Professor Milanković, Professor Živković, Zidanšek, and Áine Clarke. How does your artistic or research or scientific or education practice directly address specific sustainability challenges? How your work are the starting point for some different methods, and also in your field, how digitalization can help to provide many national heritage and something else?
It all depends on the age that you are teaching. It's not the same, are you working in the kindergarten or in postgraduate studies? What I think is the basis are the kindergarten. And that's the basis of all education. And I think that it should be based on fairy tales belonging to that particular nation, to the heritage, to the myths, and to folk songs and epic songs as much as children can understand. And if so, then once in the future we'll find out that each nations really have a mutual ground of remembrance, but each one has it in his own language and own tradition. So I think if we give that ground to the children, then they will know who they are, where they belong, and then that's a first, how shall I say, first step to become, to belong to the world. If you don't know who you are and what you are, you're no good neither for your own nation or for the world. I think that's the basis.
Is it recipe for the sustainable society?
Exactly.
Thank you. Professor Živković, the same question. How do your research and the scientific work directly address the specific of the sustainable challenges?
In my field is easy because I'm teaching material science. It is very, very simple to show some examples in the good practice and the bad practice, but also I must say that I must highlight both the practical impact and the cultural impact also. Practical impact with materials that we use, but also as an academic professor, I must say these many advantages and disadvantages for cultural impact that we have in this. For example, in my presentation was full of these examples. That also there are professors that I like to highlight this sustainability. And in this time, there are many inspiration of sustainability, especially in the branch of design. Especially but also there are fine artists that would like with sustainable materials, and all these projects that I mentioned on my presentation are connected with the art on the same. Or one of them is named, addressed on the cultural heritage. On cultural heritage protection. This is project from Institute of Physics, and we work with the 2D materials that are protective materials for cultural heritage protection, for wall painting exactly, secco and fresco painting. And the second one is for self-cooling facade. It's a very, very, very interesting project about sustainability. And all these results that I have in research, I take in a classroom. And I try to be good in that, to say to my students about all these advantages that we have if our sustainable society, not only sustainability in materialistic manner.
Thank you, Professor Živković. And in my right side is our colleague from Brussels and from Slovenia. And I have a question for you, some little different because your work is different. How can we build a bridge and overcome the gap between the field in which you're operated, education or filmmaking, and the more strategic and practical policy who's focused more on sustainability? Film production and sustainability and culture policy, what do you think? Where is the...
I think that's a really interesting question because to tell you the truth, I have no idea how to build that gap. I really feel that we work in complete silos. I feel that most people who could benefit from storytelling, from a video, they don't actually think about it, that using that media. Even if we made the documentary with Nobel Peace Laureate Muhammad Yunus, he didn't think of a documentary, and when we got the chance to show it to him on his 84th birthday, and he had been condemned to life in prison in Bangladesh, and it was probably going to be the last couple of days where he was going to be free, and just seeing his face watching the film, and he stood up and he said, "Why have I never thought of using film to communicate?" He said, "I've been working to help get people out of poverty. I've been working in social entrepreneurship, sustainability, environmental problems all my career, and I have never, ever thought of using the power of film." What I'm happy to say is that he wasn't condemned. He didn't go to prison. The youth in Bangladesh rose up against the government in Bangladesh, and now he's the Prime Minister of Bangladesh and living a very different experience. So yes, I think there's a lot out there for the power of film to be useful, and we want to do our little bit, just to make people think about it. That's why we'd like to share the documentary, use it, and maybe people will reach out to filmmakers in their own country and use the power of film like commercials do to make everybody shine.
I'm sure that your film is very useful and will be useful for generation.
It takes you all here and everybody else to share it. It's not possible to share a documentary by yourself, but that's exciting, having the chance to meet other people.
That is own experience.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Professor Zidanšek, what's happened in education policy, and I would like to suggest one more competencies, media literacy. Media literacy is not in this list of the competencies.
Yes, that's actually a very important point, and we have a very strong course on media literacy for our students who are actually visited by journalists from TV, from newspapers, and they learn by doing. So they do a practical example, like they give them half a minute, tell us your story, and then repeat it over and over again until it is really spoken well. So this is like one example, which is actually a competence which has to be learned. And I think it's not really so much about individual competences, but you have to start beyond it. So the most important mission of an educator, I think, is that we need to ignite the fire within the student. And then once the student gets this fire, student wants to move in some directions, and this student hits some obstacle. And when the student hits the obstacle, we have to help the student how to overcome, break, find a creative solution, and expand this sphere of influence. And also, I think very important is that the student has to enjoy what the student is doing, because otherwise it's not going to create good results, and also it is going to create a more balanced life, because if the student is, I don't know, the best at what they are doing, but they don't have a balanced life, then they are not going to be a good contributor to society. So I believe really to ignite the fire, to help them break the obstacles, and to lead them to joyous and balanced life.
Can we talk about your cooperation with the Ministry of Education? Do they recognize the aim of your investigation, and what they do to provide and to support your work?
Yes, so it's actually also a very important point. I mean, the Ministry of Education and of Higher Education are quite involved in this work, and there are some persons that, the ministry is like, it's not like a soulless individual, but this is a lot of individual persons. There are some really good persons at both these ministries who want to do something more about it, and also at European community and Erasmus program. So we are kind of building such, we will say, network of like-minded people who want to improve the education. And also, let's remember that now it's AI. So AI is actually changing also the way we educate. It's never going to be the same again, Every young kid has at their fingertips basically all the knowledge of the ages and also good learning methods. They just need to get this, to ignite this power, passion, the fire to go for these resources, because they can either do something random or they can go for the best resources which are available, like never before in history. And also, with all these resources, there are so many opportunities. Like, for example, now quantum computing is coming, and there are only a handful of algorithms, most of which are not really useful. But to discover new algorithms, you need a student who is really motivated, who knows a lot, and who knows how to learn, how to break through barriers. And like, I don't know, 30 years ago, there were some algorithms created, but today the hardware is catching up, and new algorithms could actually, I don't know, move our advance in a very short time by centuries, not by years. So this is what is happening today, and we as educators really need to do the best to get the students ready for what's coming.
Now we have very interesting challenging about artificial intelligence in education and in the ethical challenges with the artificial intelligence where our students work and it's a very, very problem. Do you have some experience, Professor?
Yes, we actually do. So, I mean, when it started like 3 years ago, we had to check whether the students used some ChatGPT for their seminars, and some of them actually did, and then we talked to them, we explained why it is better that they write, you know, because if you don't write yourself, you are losing the knowledge, even the knowledge that you had before, because once you stop using something, you lose it. So it's really important for the students to be motivated. Yes, there are all these wonderful tools, use them with a grain of salt, but don't make them think instead of you, because that will make you less, your thinking will not be as good, and you're going to be less employable. And so the most important really is to kind of really get the students to do it on their own, even though they could use some help.
One sentence. The way to be less afraid of artificial intelligence and to, in a way, fight it, it's only emotions. So emotional knowledge is the knowledge which artificial intelligence cannot give you. And that's the answer.
I would like to ask our audience, do you have some question for our panelists? Or okay, no question. I don't have any question.
They're speechless.
Very. Thank you. All day. Thank you, all of us. Thank you, Professor Vera Milanković, Professor Irena Živković, Clarke from Brussels, and Aleksander Zidanšek. And we will see each other on some other conference, maybe.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.